Hi guys, I'm Marky again and welcome back to Revit House. So next is we will create our shape or our form. So how to create the form? We click the create tab or create tab for the form panels. So for this one we will use our extrusion. So under extrusion, now we will be entering the so-called sketch mode. So under the sketch mode, here, modify extrusion. Under our sketch mode, we have this draw tool. So using our draw tool, we have the lines, so we can just sketch lines, or we can just draw a rectangle, or inscribe polygon, or circumscribe polygon, circle, start end radius, center end radius, arc, and tangent arc, fillet, S-spline, ellipse, half ellipse, or partial ellipse, and pick lines. So those are the various draw tools that are very common in creating every single forms. Okay, so I'll just show you how to efficiently create a form or a set of lines for our shape. So for this one, the most efficient are these two, the rectangle and the pick lines. Rectangle is very efficient in a way that this one, with as long as we don't have yet much of elements, so these are the most efficient, especially if the shape that you are creating is very much simple, like this. It's just a box. Whereas the pick lines is more efficient when we have a lot of elements already, because here we will know that our picking elements is the exact element that we wanted. For example, I want the back reference. Under status bar, you look onto the status bar. As I hover my mouse on the reference plane, you can see here that there is assurance that I'm picking RH back. So if I have a lot of reference or elements here, I will need to tab to find the correct reference plane that I need for it. So that's the purpose of the naming of your reference plane. So it's easy to use pick lines when you have a lot of elements already, whereas when you don't have yet any elements, as just a reference plane, then you can use the rectangle so that you will have it more accurately created the boundary lines of your shape. So what I can do is, or what we can do is, we just click the rectangle and then pick on one corner of the reference plane or the intersection of the reference plane, and then one intersections of the reference plane on the other end. So click here, and then we pick our lock constraints. So what are these lock constraints? Meaning you can see these blue dotted lines over the reference plane, meaning that this line is constrained with the reference plane, meaning once the reference plane is moved, my line will also move, meaning my extrusion in this case, my extrusion will also move. Okay, so that's how lock constraint works. So we have equalization constraints, now we have lock constraints. So lock constraints is for our element. Okay, now we click escape, and then we finish. Now that we have our form with respect to our width and depth, next thing is our height. So we go to our front elevation, double click, then from our front elevation we can see this is our extrusion. So we have to constrain it to our top reference plane. So how to constrain it is, either we select the element and drag it along to the top reference plane and locked it, or just simply command AL for align. AL is found under modify. This symbol is our align tool. So when we click align, I'll just have to click my reference first, which is the reference plane top, and the element to be aligned. Okay, so when I click this face of my extrusion, then I'll just have to lock it to constrain our element. So for this case, I'll just have to escape, and then we go to our 3D view. Zoom extent, ZE, without space please, because we don't need the space in our Revit command. Okay, and like AutoCAD, we have to Z space E space. So in Revit, we just have to ZE. That will be our zoom extent. Okay, so we flex our, I just need to pan a little bit to the right so that when I toggle my family types, it will not cover up my element. So maybe I'll zoom out a bit. So I'll zoom out a bit, so when I flex the size of the family, I can clearly see it, and I can clearly check if there's a problem or there not. So we flex our width, we go 100, apply, there you go. I'll go to 2500, apply, there you go. Then I'll go back to 1000, apply, yes, it's working. And depth, so I have to go 50, apply, yep, and then I'll go 100, or rather maybe 10,000, apply, yep, it's working, and then go back to 1000, apply. Same thing with height, I'll just go 100, apply, and then 2000, apply, or maybe 10,000, apply, go back to 2000, apply. Or you can simply, okay, flexing your parameter, you have to go one by one first. One by one, because if you flex too much, like for example, you go 1500, and I go 200, and then go 5000. Most of the time, when you change all of it at once, and then you click apply, and there's an error, you won't know which one is faulty. So you have to repeat it again and look for the parameter that is not working. So be careful, just be conscious on that one. So you have to do it one by one first, and then go back to, and then go change it at once, so you can flex it more efficiently. So 1000, I'll go 1000, and then 2000. Okay, so that is our Revit Family basics and box. So one last thing, we need to associate a material for our we need to assign material rather for our box. So this one, when I go shaded mode, these are all gray. So what I want to do is I apply some material for it. So I click the element or the form, and as you can see in our instance family parameter or instance parameters, we have this material property. So what I can do, I can just assign a material first. So this material is applied inside this family 1. So what I can do, I can just toggle the Autodesk material, which is this one. Then I'll just search for, let's say, wood. So we look for wood. Maybe I'll use the wood oak or walnut. Yep, I'll just have to double click this one, and then click OK. my Revit crash. So it happens. So we continue. So we click our element and then click the material. And then instead of using the Autodesk Direct library, I will create my own new material. So by clicking this symbol here, create new material, and then the default new material will be created, and then I'll just have to right click, rename it, and I would say wood walnut. Okay, then click on this empty space here, and then I will apply an appearance. So I need an asset. So for this one, we will discuss it more when we are in the modeling, in our wall finishes and floor finishes. So for now, you just have to follow first, and I will explain it more in our Revit project discussion. So I'll just click the asset and maybe look for walnut. Yep, there you go. So I'll just have to double click this one to apply the walnut asset appearance to my newly created material. So under graphics, I'll just click use render appearance. I go apply and then OK. There you go. So it looks brown. Then we'll try to go realistic. There. So when you zoom in, you can see the wood grain of the walnut finish. So that's how you create a material inside the family. But after that, you need to assign a material parameter for it, because you don't have to go inside to your family and then change the material again. Of course, you want this material to be editable in your project, so you can duplicate and assign different material for different use. So for us to do it, we just have to click the form and then click the little box beside the wood walnut material that is called associate family parameter. So I will discuss more about associate family parameter when we're doing our other family types parameter, like maybe doors or louver windows. So we'll click the new parameter here, and then we'll assign our RH underscore mat. Most of the time when I assign a material parameter, I'll use the company name, our company initial underscore mat for material, so that I would know by name that this is a material parameter already. So in case I missed group it to a dimension or to other, I know that this parameter is for material parameter, so I can move it back to the parameter or group of parameter that is supposed to be with. So RH material, I will just say body. So the body of my material. So I will click OK, then I click OK. There you go. So when I click my family types here, I will have a new group of parameter which is called material and finishes. So I have the dimension parameters, and I have material parameters. So I'll just rearrange this one with depth and height. Then I'll click apply and then OK. Yep, so that's our basic family. So we'll save our file to at least keep it and celebrate your first parametric family. So application menu, save as family. There. So we created our folder under our Revit training, and then we will put it under our Revit 2017 families. Then since this one is a generic model, I will create a new folder for generic model. Okay, so you might do it as well, and then we'll name it as our I usually put the company initial and then followed by the family category. So I would know by name that this family is a generic model. So I don't need to open it again and then check if it's a generic model, if it's a casework, if it's a furniture, because it's very troublesome. So by name, I will know that this is already a generic model. Then I will just name it as a simply box. Okay, so we need to click the options for the backup to make it limited to just only one, because uh, on the other discussion we will discuss how Revit do backups for the family. Okay, so for this case we'll just keep it as 1, then click OK, and then save. Yep, so that concludes the start of our Revit Family Basics. So next video will be, we will be discussing all the forms, how to use all the forms, forms tool, and then how to void efficiently. So if you like the content of this lecture series, please click the like button and share it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe and click that bell button for more of this lecture series. Talk to you soon.